have fun.
Thanks, bro. Enjoy your workout.
I did basically nothing. I just stepped in here. It was just like, you got it. Alright, remember, if it ever gets this bad, we can just stream it through Discord and then have a second person use Streamlabs OBS to record the Discord stream. Because I guess they use it for VOD review, which is what they like. Alright, peace.
I am the hunter!
So, do you want to... Because the thing about delay
Spike
is, like, that's
planted.
just on Discord's end. So, like, it's recording what's going on, like, right now. Unless you have it on a different screen. Or if it's muted,
Revealing
or...
area.
Because when we hop in, it'll show what we're seeing right now. Should see.
Last player standing.
No. Well, I don't know what's going on. Oh, I know what you mean. I know what you mean now. Okay, yeah, no, we chill. We're vibing. So do I gotta do my intro again? Or do we just... I don't know. At this rate, game...
Scanning
Right.
ahead. Take flight.
They've been on a 6-0 run. Are we... you think we're good to go?
We're good.
All right. Hello, UNI Panther fans. Thank you so much for joining us. We will get the actual intro done here momentarily. Sorry for the technical issues. I am joined here for the quarterfinal match with Monty. Monty, how you doing?
It's you and me. Hopefully.
Hopefully. Great. Yeah. So we'll have some things going here as UNI looks like so far winning up this matchup. Of course, for those of you just now joining us, and thank you for being patient, UNI went on a 2-0 initial bout, of course, really showing why they've been good on the pistol rounds. However, it has been essentially a 6-1 run from Bradley Brave since then. And as we see here, Pop Tart able to go ahead through the center link, and he is good for 3.
You and I starting to make a comeback here. I think maybe we just need to be the ones watching them, because ever since the stream turned off, they've been losing rounds, and we turned it back on, and they were back up.
You know, I think there's something that has to do with that, Monty.
Opposite of caster curse, right?
Absolutely,
Right?
absolutely. All right, so like I said, as we're in between rounds here, thank you for joining us. Postseason tournament has started for Valorant Division 5. Of course, the only question is will the UNI Panthers be able to make it all the way? It will be interesting to see who will become the victor at the end of 3 weeks. And Valorant fans, it's a single elimination, so UNI could be out this round if they go ahead and lose 2 rounds. So they are playing against their Missouri Valley Conference rival, the 5th-seeded Bradley University Braves from Bradley, Illinois. So going to be a nail-biter, quite frankly, as we see already both of these teams kind of playing neck and neck, and it's definitely a momentum shift here.
I know exactly where you are.
Heavy aggression from BU here,
Spike
taking
planted.
full site control and losing one here. Taking out a UNI player as well.
As Pop-Tart's going to go ahead and work from heaven. Mr. Zerclaps gets taken out. Remy able to get the trade out for him, but Brono and Jack going to be able to take out the last remaining members of UNI.
Last round
BU
in the half.
up 7-4 round before the half.
UNI is looking like they're going to be able to make this 5-7 half potentially here, but still definitely I think offense is their stronger side on this map. It's kind of one of those, more towards one of those maps that it's a little more even than just being such a heavy defense comp.
So it's going to see how UNI is going to stack up here. All right, and it looks like everything's good on the casting end, or the broadcast end. And Fablet already out the gate, going to go ahead and take one down A long. However, Jack's going to take Fablet right out.
And Jack picking up that ISO wall is looking to use it somewhere. Doesn't find anyone with it though.
Looks like the Braves are going to go ahead and rotate around from that A to maybe a B side. As we see the Cypher right there, just going to go ahead and go through doors. Or at least he'll hold that angle.
Slipbox finds one here with knives.
Beefman able to take out the Cypher there in doorways. Mr. Zerclaps is in a 2v1. Misses the first. And he goes down.
UNI now in a 3v2
One
looking
enemy
to take this
remaining.
round.
Spike down, C.
Now just Remy and Beefman left against Jack, who is low.
Gonna have to work around the angle.
Left. Last player standing.
Oh, and unfortunate that Remy just wasn't ready for Jack to pop out the corner there.
Jack looks like he's going to try to rotate all the way to A here.
He should have enough time to go ahead and get the plant.
10 seconds left.
Cover going out.
Spike planted.
And he will, and he's going to be working his way back towards short. I don't think Beefman will be expecting this. And I think Jack heard him here. But
Up to the angles. And an excellent job there by UNI. Of course, Beefman clutching it up in the end. And I think the biggest thing here is that Beefman recognized when the Bradley player was going to go ahead and rotate out and around, and knowing that Jack kind of had that, rotation going, UNI able to go ahead and take the half with a clutch play by Beefman. So 7-5 for Bradley at the half. Monty, how you looking at UNI so far here, or what should we expect from an attacker round for UNI?
So UNI is not looking too bad. They haven't, I don't think, really played against a team comp that's used ISO before, because kind of with the recent changes, him getting a suppress on his double damage ability kind of changes it a little bit, makes him a little bit more usable for team play. And I think they're such kind of trying to figure out how they're trying to play around that. But if they're able to pick up these pistol around here, they'll likely make this into a 7-7 game.
Fablet gonna go ahead and work the B central area. Sees one. And here comes Bradley forcing down that A long hall.
And
Beefman's gonna get
aggressive here. Finds one.
Gets taken out though in the back by Jack. He's
Spike
good for
down
2.
A.
Now BU is bombed down in a 4v3 against UNI.
Revealing area.
Nice location reveal there with the Sova dart. However, the shock dart will take out Mr. Surclaps, but Pop Tart able to take out Bruno.
UNI is going to be able to get the bomb for free, and they're likely going to rotate to C, and I think BU is expecting that here. Yeah, we already see Jack rotating. He is 1 HP, so this could be still a little scary for BU.
Going to be ultimately down to Jack on if he's able to get the kill, but he's going to force a 2v1 situation.
Spike
but
planted.
at this point, gets the sound effects calls, and BU is going to rotate.
And UNI is looking to get aggressive through Garage here, and they might just catch the perfect timing.
If Pop Tart doesn't give away the sound, as it looks like Jack's going to go ahead and push in.
Last player standing.
UNI
Oh,
was
Jace.
Taken out both
Defuse the
by
spike.
Jace Mace here.
Yeah, I think that was the right idea that you and I had. However, because of the Omen smoke, kind of discombobulated you and I there. And unfortunately, didn't get the shot offs that they needed. Forced the 3v2. And an excellent job by BU there.
Yeah, UNI definitely having the right idea. I think they needed to have someone get a little bit more aggressive, maybe play towards site, and then have the other person play a little bit more towards that wraparound on CT. Because with that Omen smoke, not a lot you can do once that smoke gets thrown in the bomb there.
All right, UNI is going to go ahead and stack up to an A offense as Mac will go ahead with the Bulldog, get a couple tags on Mr. Surclaps. Going to use some breach ults. Or excuse me, not ults, but breach util, as Surclaps will go ahead and die to Mac there on B side.
UNI looking to make that noise towards that garage angle.
Played out Mac for a little bit, however, it does not get the kill.
And BU still worried about this B push.
Shadows traveling.
At this point, I believe that UNI is going to go ahead and separate out and around, and maybe we look for a long C push, because I feel like UNI is just going to give up on that space on the garage doors area.
Yeah, and with some players rotating over towards that C and B side, actually, they could re-wrap all the way through to A.
Fablet's going to get stunned, however...
30 seconds left.
And now UNI starting to speed it up down this A push here. And just
And I believe
Jace
BU
on
knows.
site.
Shotgun.
Try and use the shock dart, get some information. Remy will go ahead and go in for the plant. Beefman's going to be in a 2v1 in the smoke. Spike is planted down. It's going to be a 5v3 retake for BU.
Let's go huge here.
Last player
Picks up
standing.
one.
Favelet on one tap is going to have to deal with White. Gets taken out. And I believe it just kind of comes down to the clutch play that Jack has been able to perform so far in this game. He's been good for 3 multiple rounds. He seems like he sets the positioning of Bradley, and they kind of execute when he's ready to execute. I don't know if you noticed that, Monty.
Yep, definitely. They're waiting for him continuously, and when he's, as of now, he is looking like to be the star of this game, is able to take those fights, take that space with his team right behind him every round.
Yeah, and what character is Jack playing?
So, Jack's playing ISO, more or less. His signature ability is a shield that can take one full hit from anything. It could be an op, it could be a raise ult, it could be a frenzy bullet. But it's just kind of like a very aggressively played duelist, and kind of more towards like that Reyna side, trying to take those fights and those 1v1s.
Some Omen smokes will go ahead and block out C. UNI seeming like they were going to go ahead and push in down that C long side. However, they're going to go ahead and wrap around towards B. as we see Pop-Tart gonna try and get some pop shots here through the doors.
Once again, we are seeing BU having a little bit of a weaker A side here.
Camera taken out.
I wonder if UNI will recognize that and wrap around to A where it's just left for the Cypher.
UNI has now seen 2 different people that aren't Cypher on C, so they know they're going to be stacking something over here. It looks like they're going to be going for the commit on this site here.
30 seconds left.
And they're actually going to back off.
Yeah.
Pop-Tart.
Apparently UNI didn't.
The garage.
Cage triggered.
Gets a lot of information there. However, through the smoke, White able to take him out. In less than 12 seconds now, UNI needs to get a
10
plant.
seconds left.
Looks like it's going to be on B side. However, you got to get through Bro
Spike
Brono.
down, B.
Can't. And UNI might lose this round.
Now UNI down 5-10 here, and they just lost their rifle round. They're going to be looking at an eco play here, seeing if they can pick something up.
And I wonder if maybe that win condition for UNI, as I've kind of noticed that they kind of half commit, whether that's going to be a C push or maybe a B push. And I feel like this indecisiveness right now has not benefited them, and that's what's causing this 5-round deficit.
Most definitely, especially we saw earlier in the game, we saw them having those really strong plays on defense where they were all trying to play around each other together. And since then, we've just seen a lot of split between the whole team.
Mr. Sirclaps being aggressive as he should, able to take out Mac early.
Here is something more towards what we'd like to see from UNI. We see 4 players on site all at the same time.
And Jace Mace using the Sova ult, able to take out Beefman, who was going to go in for the initial plant. Going to have to force now Favolet to get the plant. Pop-Tart able to take out Bro Brono. Jace Mace able to take out Favolet as well. And Mr. Sirclaps
Going to be taken out here after the ISO wall. Leaves him completely vulnerable.
and Jace Mace with 3, able to go ahead and secure this round for BU. It's going to be a 6-round deficit UNI finds themselves in.
UNI back onto a buy round here though. They do have money finally. Are looking to try to turn this game around here.
And I wonder if at this point, if it's going to need to be an aggressive push. We see them stacked up A. I don't know if they'll commit A just by the mannerisms we've seen, but I would love to see that. However, Mac with the up, taken out Mr. Sirclaps.
We see Jack and Mac here on site, looking like they're trying to hold this site down. And Jack popping that ISO shield, trying to take this fight onto short.
Chart will be flashed. Omen smoke comes out.
I must wait a moment.
UNI still unable to get into sight. They need to take the space through long.
Remy is going to have to work around the boxes here.
The smoke's going to go down behind him.
He'll
Jack
go
takes
down.
out 2.
Spike down A.
Does get traded out by Pop-Tart. Beefman goes down to White. And White able to finish it off. And it's going to be a 12-5 for BU. Match point for Bradley.
Match point.
I feel like at this point, Monty, UNI is going to have to just maybe focus on the next game. And maybe they could come back out of this deficit. Of course, we've seen crazier things, but I feel like UNI is going to need to kind of focus in here. And we saw the commit to A. However, I feel like they should have been more aggressive.
That goes there.
But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, most definitely. They had
No more
that
charges
smoke on
left.
site
Get out of my way.
from the enemy Omen is definitely something really hard to play around. But it was something that they could have just tried to push through.
And here's Mr. Sirclaps able to be aggressive with the knives, however, gets taken out. But Remy able to finally take out Jack. Favolet good for Jace Mace. And UNI is going to go ahead and get a successful plant on B site.
Last player standing.
Just a shorty and an op in hand is unable to win that round.
So UNI able to go ahead and reduce the deficit down to 6, still match point. And I feel like another thing about it too, Monty, is that our playmakers of Pop-Tart and Favelet have been kind of nullified early on, and I feel like that just might be a design that UNI has. Of course, we've seen typically the Cypher lurk in mid-courtyard. We haven't been seeing a lot of those plays be valuable for UNI, especially on this attack.
Right, and one thing we're seeing a lot is Mr. Circlapse is getting shut down as soon as he's getting in sight here. And we've seen that consistently throughout this game.
Nowhere to run!
And we will see, it looks like UNI is going to be getting completely free C-site.
Yeah, they have to play aggressive, and it's going to be a 5v5 retake. Mr. Circlap setting up that heaven side. And it looks like a majority of BU is going to be coming through that C-link.
You see Raging Remy kind of stuck in an interesting spot here. And UNI about to starting to get crunched on here by BU.
Raging Remy gets traded out by Mac, but Beefman able to take out one as well. Pop-Tart goes down. Beefman goes down. Favelet goes down after a trade, and as the dust settles, it's going to leave Jack and White able to get the
Defenders
defuse.
win.
Map 1 will go ahead in favor of the Bradley Braves, 13-6. So unfortunate set of events there, Monty. Of course, like we kind of mentioned, Jack able to be a major player here for this Bradley Braves team, 20-12-7. I feel like you and I just didn't have an answer for the ISO because typically we didn't see that in the regular season, so maybe that kind of messed them up here.
It definitely, it's something that UNI is not used to seeing. It's something completely new and unthought of for them so far. We've seen it played a couple times, not like, you see it played a lot in more towards like the pro scenes of the game, and there's quite a few teams that are running ISO, and especially on Haven, but it's just not something that you're going to see too often.
Yeah, I completely agree. As it looks like the next set, we're going to go Lotus, and I believe will be defense.
So we'll see UNI taking what I would say, one of their strongest maps here on one of their strongest sides.
All right, so while we have everybody, I would like to take a moment to tell you how you can support UNI Panther Esports. If you go down into the chat box, do ! merch, that'll take you to our Guardian Pro line, where we have a nice selection of t-shirts, hoodies, and fully customizable jerseys, all for your wearable enjoyment. Beanies, hoodies are really nice. I really do like the hoodies. So if you want to support UNI Panther Esports, go ahead, do ! merch, and click the link. All right, Monty, I have a trivia question for you. Are you ready?
I think so.
All right, so who, and this might be a underhanded throw, who in the regular season had the most kills?
I'm gonna take my chances and say it was likely Mr. Circlapse or Pop-Tart. But I'm gonna go with Mr. Circlapse because early on in the season we saw him getting really aggressive and getting quite a few high kill games.
Absolutely. So you would be correct. Mr. Circlapse did go finish the regular season with 262 kills. His highest was going to be 59 of week 3. So really awesome job there getting the highest kill for that week. So congratulations. All right. On to the next question. Who has the most assists in the regular season?
Once again here, there's options are narrowed down because if Mr. Circlapse has the most assists, something would be wrong. But I'm likely going to say it's either Beefman, Remy, or Favelet. But I think just because of the ease of getting those assists on smokes, I'm going to say that Beefman has the most assists.
You would be correct. Beefman ended the regular season with 149 assists. The next closest was Favelet with 126. All right, here's an interesting one as well. Who had the most bomb plants of the regular season?
Ooh, that one could definitely be anyone here. I know I've consistently seen Beefman with a lot of plants. I'm not sure if he's going to be the one to take it, but that's going to be my guess. It's going to be Beefman.
Oh, you went 2 for 3 today. The actual person who planted the most is going to be Raging Remy with 54.
Still nothing to look down on. That is a lot of plants.
Yeah, and especially we saw midway through the regular season, Remy playing the Gecko and getting a lot of those like buddy plants. I think that's kind of what helped rack up his total.
Yep, most definitely. Seeing that wingman plant is one of the freest plants in the game. And that's why we saw Gecko in meta for so long. Not really for long, but for a little while there.
Yeah. All right, so as we continue here, what was UNI's highest win percentage map?
I know their Lotus and Haven, other than today, are both very high. I'm not exactly sure which one's higher, but I want to say they were 4 and 5 on one of the two. I want to say they were 4, or not 4 and 5, 4, 4, 5. So 80% win rate on Haven.
Yes, you would be right. Both Haven and Lotus share an 80% win rate, where on both maps they went 4 and 5. The highest percentage ever is going to be, technically it's a tie. It is going to be Ascent, where they went 2 and 0, and Pearl, where we only played Pearl once, and they went 100% on Pearl. So they won the one match of Pearl.
Pearl is definitely one of those weird ones. Certain teams are kind of more swayed towards it. A lot of teams actually don't like that map. I myself used to love it. I'm not a fan of it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we're going to go ahead and get ready in for Lotus defense for UNI, what does UNI have to do to bounce back in this best of 3 matchup?
Hawk, are you ready? Clement?
I think UNI just needs to they need to play this like they normally would. They need to get into that mindset of just having that strong team play together, especially towards that A side. Lotus is heavily skewed towards fighting for that A side and then trying to retake that space onto that C site.
Yeah, and I feel like UNI, what has been consistent with their Lotus wins is the C retake, because that has been one major factor that I think contributes, is just the way that they're able to kind of be patient, kind of work that C waterfall, C hull, like mid to top side angles. And of course, I believe it also comes down with locking down B site, either with like the Cypher, or we've seen before with the Mr. Sir Claps raise play.
Yeah, and one thing on C is just there's so many spots that are very easy to clear out with things like, for example, we're seeing a Tejo here, probably from UNI. Just between Tejo and Raze, or even Breach like we see on Jack right now, it's just 3 really easy agents to be able to clear out a lot of space.
Yeah, and we've seen UNI also play with like the Fade. I guess, is that going to be more of like a B hold kind of situation, you think?
It definitely could be. It could definitely be played quite a few ways. But seeing Fade coming out is always something nice to see, just because everyone is kind of throwing out that mindset of just Breach Tejo is the way on every map, which it's just such a strong combo, hard to deal with.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and load into Lotus, where UNI is going to go ahead and be down 1-0 on the series. Bradley looking for the upset today. Of course, the other matches that we're going to be looking at tonight in the postseason for the Midwest playoffs is going to be SCSU. That game is currently playing St. Ambrose versus Illinois Westphalian Titans. That game is also currently being played. And then later tonight, it's going to be Murray State Gold versus Briarcliff Gold. So interesting set of matchups, as Bradley was the third team in Midwest A, where they finished the season 5-2. So definitely a formidable matchup tonight against UNI.
But we're seeing UNI setting up for, like I had mentioned before, just that nice A take, kind of trying to hold that space onto A rubble.
And Mr. Circlap's already taking out Mac.
They don't, and they didn't know that White was actually able to TP all the way across. Mr. Claps picking up 3, looking to find a 4th.
To reload. Does White know he's there? Oh, headshot! Mr. Circlaps, good for 4 in round 1. And that only leaves 1 left available. Bruno down to 21 HP. Mr. Circlaps trying to get a tag off.
1 enemy remaining.
Gets taken out.
Finds Claps unable to pick up that ace, but 4 kills coming out from Mr. Circlaps.
Yeah, I feel like that was a really good round for UNI, of course, doing a good job on the early rounds. Hopefully they can get it going. However, I kind of almost sniff like what happened in map 1, where UNI could go 2-0 and then Bradley goes on a 6-0 run after that. So hopefully UNI doesn't repeat history already in this series, but we're looking so far so good.
And it looks like UNI is ready almost for this B take. That Vise wall going down is going to be really hard to get onto site going out.
Beefman already scaring away all of Bradley from B, and they're going to rotate over to C.
Seeing a full team rotate onto C for BU. And Mac already inserting himself onto site.
Mac and White going to go ahead and test the waters. And Jace made.
Mr. Clap and Favorite looking to take the space through water.
Favorite, Pop-Tart, and Remy able to take out members of Bradley. Jace Mace going down. Same thing with Mr. Circlaps. Able to go ahead and a very well-executed C retake by UNI.
And once again, we're seeing UNI with a lot of really good util usage here. Let's see if they're able to keep this up for the whole game this time.
Yeah, able to go 2-0 in the early stages. Now UNI needs to kind of settle down and get ready for the response by BU. And I feel like UNI, again, gonna have to still stick around with their same defense. I do like how Beefman is holding that B site and maybe gets a lot of audio cues to see where that team is going to end up.
We are seeing UNI actually looking ready for that B hit again. We see that Teo drone clearing out the wall. The Euroclone coming through to Crockett as well.
No more thorns.
Pop-Tart's
ready
gonna
for this push.
Retrieving good hit. Thorns are alive.
Unable to find Mac, but does get quite a bit of damage here onto BU.
Mac will go ahead and get the plant. Mr. Circlaps though able to trade out Jace Mace, but Jace Mace good for another one. Beefman goes down as well, and it's going to be a 2v4 retake on C site.
Fablet finds one on the flank with that outlaw here.
Yeah, that was kind of a nice second opportunity there with that last shot.
We're going to see, I believe UNI knows that most of the players are towards that back side of the site.
Fablet will swap out to a Vandal. And knows one of them's down by the cargo area. Jace Mace, though, good for 3 now.
You know, a 3v1 for Favourite with no time on the clock, and BU is going to be running, and Favourite will just have to save.
I feel like that was the right idea for UNI. However, what kind of happened there on that C push is the retake was a little bit sloppy. It wasn't as well coordinated as the last time, and I feel like UNI's information gathering for that C push was just kind of lopsided, and because of that, Mr. Sirclaps had to force to make the play, gets traded out, and UNI just kind of had to work back from there.
And most definitely, I think they started that retake just a little early there.
So UNI again gonna have to hold off the 6-0 run like we saw in map 1, Monty. We're already on the 1-0 run.
It's not looking great so far, and especially with BU sitting outside of that A side. We see they are going to be looking to retake this space.
Favelet's going to go ahead and be blinded. Has to get out just in time for the grenades.
There's a lot of util coming up from BU. And I don't know how he got here, but Bruno's all the way up C.
Thorns activated.
Yeah, he just went up that B central site, able
No
to
more thorns.
take out, of course, UNI's defender just with a quick little headshot. Like, UNI wasn't ready for it, and here comes the full rotate now for BU.
Almost like an assassination there. Pop-Tart completely unaware that he's there. They're seeing there's some really early util coming out. Probably to stop the plan, but I think UNI needed to save that a little more towards for their retake here.
Jace Mace will go ahead and get the plant down. Fable going to be in the waterfalls, trying to get a couple 10 shots.
You see Mr. Zerclaps going in with that Razor here. Finds one, finds two. UNI picking up 4.
Like you could stop me.
Mac is going to go ahead and take out Favolet, but he was good for 2 as well. It's going to be a 2v1 situation on point. Beefman's going to have Mace right through the smoke. With reaction, can't get it as Mace is good for 3. He's good for 4 and a clutch play for Mac.
As you said, might have cast the curse just a little bit. You know, it's showing 2-2, and UNI does not have a lot of money to buy this round.
Yeah, I feel like with this, UNI is going to have to play reactive. I mean, the biggest thing is the early play for Pop-Tart on C-Site getting taken out, and UNI just didn't have enough time to react because you couldn't communicate that death and how many players were going to be on that C-Site for BU, so it was just kind of a lost situation out of the first blood of the round.
Pop-Tart looking to try to get aggressive, going for that early kick. And one thing about Yoro is that clone, with everyone playing Vines, he can just throw that clone through and trigger all of that util. Beefman in a wonderful spot here is going to get cleared out though by White from the other side.
A well executed play between White and Jace Mace.
And they rotate back to C.
Interesting play, although Pop-Tart with the Headhunter able to take out the breach.
And that Yoro will be coming out on site, and UNI knows that.
Gonna be some poking here. It looks like Bradley's gonna be sitting down in the C main site.
UNI knows only one person's on site. They're going to have to fight that mountain space here.
White will. It's gonna be a 3v4 retake. Pop-Tart only with the Headhunter.
Last player standing.
And Mac, once again, picking up 2 more kills on his belt here.
I feel like the biggest thing there, Monty, is that UNI is struggling right now with maybe some timing of things. Like you kind of mentioned earlier in the earlier rounds, UNI kind of had an early retake. And I feel like at that point it was just a little bit too late there at the end because Pop-Tart was being too aggressive, gets taken out, and UNI just didn't kind of come in on the retake.
But we are seeing a 2-3 here now. Prophecy's coming true almost. Pop-Tart looking to try to find one swinging ahead of that drone here. Meanwhile, UNI taking all of the space up the right.
down.
Mr. Claps gets taken out. Favorite on a tight angle here, trying to just look for a kill.
Able to find one, finds two, and escapes with 71 health. Jace Mace able to take out Raging Remy before he's also able to trade out White. And at the end of the day, I feel like that was still a really good transaction for UNI. Unfortunately, Mr. Sirclaps goes down, but the early kills from Favelet definitely valuable on those star players in BU.
Thorns down.
And UNI now knows that the plant's going down on C. They're going to regroup and hit the site here. We're going to see both
All
players
going to come down to the
towards CT.
timing. Do they know that UNI went through waterfalls?
I think BU knows that all the players have to be towards site
One
here.
enemy remaining.
Favelet finds another.
Able to pick up 3 that round. Pop-Tart's going to go ahead and get the defuse. Jace Mace going to use some util. Takes out Beefman.
Pop-Tart looking to try to get on that plant again. Is getting spammed. Has to go and jump into the smoke, and Pop-Tart clutching it out for UNI.
What a way to kind of stand through the damage. Able to get the bomb to half percentage while you're getting shot at. And then have the patience enough to wait for Jace Mace to be aggressive on the point. Just well executed timing for Pop-Tart.
Now a lot of ults coming out, and probably likely going to be coming out of the belt here for BU. Looks like they are going to be trying to get aggressive again on that A side.
So we're not going to have a repeat of history here, Monty. You and I are going to go ahead and stop the 3-0 run, and it's going to be tied 3-3. Mr. Sirclaps going to be discombobulated.
Getting hit with
A lot of
everything in the
util.
books here. And I know they have this space taken here, but I think that Breach ult kind of got the initial space, and now they're just trying to find those fights.
Mace able to get the penetration kill on Mr. Sirclaps. You and I going to have to work back out and around, and it's going to come down to the Pop-Tart on the flank going through B main. Maybe that's going to be too little too late, as BU is going to go ahead through tree.
All missiles away.
We're going to see Remy dropping out backside here, able to find one, going for that ult, able to get it off.
However, gets
Last
taken
player
out.
standing.
2 defenders. 3 defenders now able to take out, and it's going to have to come to Beefman.
Spike planted.
Only with the Spectre.
Finds one with that stinger there.
Or, yeah, Stinger, thank you. Huh. Gonna
Close
go ahead,
enough to the
swap
same
out.
gun.
Yeah, well. One's suppressed, one's not. They had to change the names on it for me.
One
Beatman
enemy
finds
remaining.
2.
Shadows traveling.
Has 3 on the round so far. However, he didn't clear the angle, and Jace Mace able to go ahead and take him out. So right now, BU with the 1 round advantage as we're creeping towards the halfway point. Hopefully you and I can go ahead and get a C retake as we see BU stacking up on that C lobby side.
UNI looking like they're going to try to be playing heavy towards that A side, just trying to hold that space and give that C site fully.
We'll utilize some drones, get some information. Realizes that there's no defender on C.
Okay, with that Visol, we'll get that full confirmation that there's no players, even up towards CT here.
Launching thorns.
UNI is going to go ahead and rotate around. And like you've mentioned, Monty, it's going to come down to timing here on this C retake.
And the bomb going down pretty late here, actually, giving UNI a lot of time to pull themselves together. And all 5 players are playing towards that back site CT side.
Bring me the arsenal.
That's interesting as it's going to be a duo kind of wrapping around that B link. Pop-Tart able to take out Jace, but Bruno taking down Beefman. It's going to be a 4v4 retake still.
Pop-Tart sticking that bomb, still on it.
Last player
He's gonna
standing.
find the defuse with 2 players left alive still.
Excellent job by Pop-Tart, able to again be aggressive on the
need a
bomb
weapon.
plant and through the shooting, through the death, through it all, able to go ahead and stick it. So UNI will go ahead and tie it up 4-4. Now, is there something
Now we
the
win.
kit that Pop-Tart is playing that makes it, I don't know, tanky or stealthy, or what makes Pop-Tart's character so unique?
So for Vise, the big thing with Vise is that wall that he has.
Strip.
Whenever it gets triggered by someone running through it, it gives complete invulnerability, so they can't break it. I think it's for 8 seconds, and it just stands there like an immovable wall. And it just it'll slow down a lot of that enemy team.
On the Vise mirror matchup, Bruno will go ahead
planted.
and get the trade. Spike will be planted.
Redundant.
Bruno, good for another one. Jack able to pick up Remy. That's going to come down to a 2v5 situation. Excuse me, 2v4.
BC Fablet trying to scale up CT, gonna get caught off probably in the side here.
Last player standing.
No, BC Claps all alone in a 1v4 with only a Bucky in hand.
Got him.
All right, you're able to take out Mac. Something. However, you are going to be working those angles against Jace Mason.
Satchel out.
Trying to just find some damage here. Will die to the bomb though for that eco.
Well, you're at least taking away some, like you mentioned, eco from a couple members of BU. Advantage now in favor, 5-4 for Bradley. And I can't help but wonder what UNI needs to do here.
I think UNI is playing these rounds well. Just a lot of these rounds, like we saw last round, they are kind of playing the later ends of the rounds a little poorly. They're kind of scattered. They're not together, and just way too separated. I feel like.
Blinding. Good hit. My blind is dead.
See Pop-Tart with that discipline. He knows that there's going to be a lot of people running through the smoke at once here.
It's going to come down to trigger discipline.
Slow down. Pop-Tart finds one, almost finds 2.
Spike
But it's triggered
down.
out by
C.
Mac.
I still feel like that transaction was pretty neutral, as Mr. Circlap's able
One
to take out
enemy
Bruno,
remaining.
and Favlet through the smoke finds Mac. Jack goes down. White able to trade out Beef, and White with the bomb gonna go through the smoke. Looks like he might rotate around. I thought he was gonna go ahead and plan at B, but obviously not, as he's gonna work that waterfall angle.
He gets a sound kill. Remy. But Remy will find him out actually.
Yeah, nice job by UNI, able to go ahead and tie it up there. And I feel like it had to come down to that C site aggression, as it looks like we're going to have our first pause for Bradley. So UNI really bouncing back in this one, Monty, of course, dealing with the map 1 6-0 run that UNI did not recover from, of course, losing that match 13-6. But we're kind of tied here, neck and neck, and I feel like UNI's really hit their groove.
I think UNI is finally getting into that kind of teamwork that they normally have here. And I feel like the second half of this game, even if they're able to go even here at 6-6, or even if they go down a 5-7 or up a 7-5, I think they'll be able to pull it through in this offense half.
Yeah, usually defense is their strongest suit. However, in the latter half of the season, that isn't necessarily true, and I feel like it all has to come down with the new kind of compositions, the new strategies that they're using. So it's kind of blasphemous to say, but I feel like attack has been a lot more beneficial here in the latter half of the season.
Definitely on, like, especially in Lotus when they have that defense plays down, the defense plays down, and they know what they're doing. They're learning that offense aggression and what they need to do for it.
Favorite with the Outlaw is going to go ahead and work that site. It's going to be Vise if they go ahead and beat the corner. And tons of information gained there.
We got Razor coming out from the Super Claps. I'm able to find anything.
Go ahead. Stand your ground.
Use that.
Here comes the Tejo ult. Mr.
Misses the
Circlap's able to go at.
Somehow getting out of that.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting here.
Thorns are alive.
And still all 5 players here from BU are pushing. We'll see. Favorite catches one out, trying to go back to check that flank. We're going to see a rotate over to B here. The B man will be ready for it.
Blinding.
And he finds 3 with that blind.
Able to get a lot of tags, especially on Jace Mace. He's going to go ahead and force the plan on B. Jack with the headhunter. Takes out Remy, though. Mr. Circlaps engaging. Finds one. But White able to take out Favelet as well. But it looks like UNI is going to go ahead and fake the defuse. Pop-Tart able to take out Jack. And Mr. Circlaps ends the round with 3 kills. So I feel like there,
Last round before the switch.
UNI did a nice job at kind of staggering BU. And the last round before the swap, Monty, could we potentially see a 7-5 situation for UNI?
We definitely could here. Both teams on a bye round. We are going to see a little bit more alt pressure coming out here for BU. If they're able to get any orb here, they will find that Vise ult.
Shadows traveling.
Beefman gonna go ahead, hold the angle. And a lot of util being committed to this B site. Mac gonna go ahead, work towards the A side, hold that angle as Jace Mace will get the plant down. UNI's gonna look at a 5v5 retake on B.
And UNI has that wall on C, so they know that Rebrono is going to be up for that C push. Pop-Tart's going to turn around and try to fight it here. He gets taken out.
Yeah, right idea, just didn't quite get the mechanics on it as Beefman's gonna get traded out, and Mr. Circlaps with the shorty. Taking one out, Raging Remy looking at the corner, unfortunately doesn't get the shots off.
And Mr. Circlaps swings into 3 people.
Who's next?
And with this, at the
Switching
half,
sides.
Monty, 6-6. So a really interesting turn of events for this game.
A nice even 6-6 here, gonna kind of show here what team has that better offense side.
And I feel like UNI is more kitted up for that. I just feel like Raze is more tooled in for an aggressive site push. Of course, you kind of have the C4 that you have to work with, and the ultimate, which if you can get that off in a close proximity like B or C site, a lot of value to come from that, but it'll all come down on this half.
We'll see BU fighting for that A space like we saw UNI do normally. And then we will see UNI full sending that push onto C. And BU playing 2 people on that close angle here, getting ready for that push in.
Sir Circlap's going to go use the C4 to get on point, taking tons of space and lots of information gathered. Pop-Tart able to get the first kill on Jack.
Collapse likely not ready for this guy to be above him, but he does clear it.
Kind of right timing for Mr. Sirclaps, of course. Favourite, or excuse me, Pop-Tart able to take out one more member of the youth before being traded out. As Jace Mace able to take out one before he's traded out himself, and Raging Remy able to take out White. And UNI will go ahead and be consistent with their pistol rounds. So what do you see right now for this eco buy that UNI is currently showing?
We're seeing something that's actually pretty common. You want to get at least one rifle in there, and Fablet picking up a couple of kills last round is going to pick up that rifle, and then Pop-Tart is definitely going to be trying to play around that rifle getting dropped and try to get that tree.
BU is going to flash the A push, or excuse me, UNI is going to flash the A push. As it looks like they might rotate it around. BU might meet them on B main. At least they might meet Pop-Tart.
Pop-Tart getting the info. He knows that there's some people up in that B main spot.
And just with the ghost. As Raging Remy, though, with the Guardian, able to take out one.
There.
So Sirclap's going to have to watch his back here as Bruno is going to get taken out by Favolet. UNI seem to take the path of least resistance. We'll go ahead and get the plant on C.
And now Claps all the way up flank here. He knows all three players are coming. He's going to be playing his perfect angle, and Fablet is going to be able to get a swing off properly.
Find you. One enemy
Mr.
remaining.
Sirclap's good for one. Favolet to pick up the other. And Jack. It's going to come down to the pistol. Swap to the pistol, Mr. Sirclaps. And he's able to get this one secured. And again, another... I hate to say this, Monty, because I feel like I cast or cursed every single time. But UNI, flawless on the first two pistol rounds. Now it's going to force by a BU. And I feel like UNI, with the eco that they're sitting on, do they just kind of commit what they have now, or do they force another rifle situation?
They definitely could force rifles here. That we are going to see two rifles, actually, for UNI. Because Pop-Tart only had a pistol last round, he has that money to be able to spend.
Again, UNI taking the path of least resistance, gonna push around the A side. As UNI is gonna take their sweet time. The Braves not trying to take space and get additional information, as they seem to be holding their own point.
Pop-Tart trying to clear up this B space is going to get drowned out.
With that
A side, taking up Bruno.
Mac able to take out Favolet, and the Braves know that A is going to be the site that UNI is at. Pop-Tart, though, taking out Jace Mace. Mac working the heaven side towards Beefman, able to get him tagged.
One enemy remaining.
And Mr. Sirclaps able to take him out from the top rope. Throws the grenade, gets taken out in the back as Beefman gets the plan off. It's going to be a 1v3 situation. Remy knows the position of White. He's going to fake the kind of teleport, but Beefman not persuaded on that fake. So really nice job here as UNI extends their lead by 3.
We are seeing Mr. Sirclaps is showing up this game. He is 23-9, having a lot of impact early, getting a lot of early kills for UNI here.
And I feel like that's going to be another thing that UNI is going to need to focus on. Is we saw a lot in the regular season, like Mr. Sirclaps Pop-Tart, Favelet, able to kind of shine through these clutch moments, and their actions have been kind of muted here. And I don't know if that's just playoffs or just an off day, but it's good to see that in game 2, they're starting to kind of hit their stride.
Circlaps inserting himself through that wall, able to take that space onto site once again.
UNI will go ahead and get the plant down, and it's going to be an aggressive retake here for BU. And we saw the situation reversed early in this map. And it's all going to come down to timing. Mr. Circlaps, he's going to go ahead and swap, do the ult, able to find one, and Favelet able to pick up another. And Jack, only with a Sheriff, is going to be pinned down in the waterfalls. And at this point, I feel like you just got to save for the eco, even though you just have a Headhunter. But Raging Remy, who is going to flank behind, doesn't need to take him out, as Beefman will go ahead and secure that round. 10-6, as Bradley will go ahead and use their second and final timeout for this map. Monty, what do you think BU is discussing here?
So BU has kind of been getting, I'm not going to say red completely, but like UNI has been finding those positions that they need to push, where they need to go. They're finding a lot of space early, and a lot of these rounds, they've just been able to get on that site, and BU can't really retake it. So BU needs to, I think, focus a little bit more on those retakes. And once they're able to full retake things, they'll be able to come back from this game.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've noticed, at least, is Jace Mace and Jack, who were big contributors in that game 1 victory, haven't really been as impactful in game 2. And I just wonder if that might be having to do with maybe compositions, strategy, something like that. But I would be interested to see if they are going to be a more heavy hand trying to get out of this 4-round deficit. It looks like UNI is going to go ahead and stack up on that A site, but so will BU, as 3 members will go ahead and wait.
Locating targets.
And I feel like at this point, UNI knows that there's going to be 3 to 4 members stacked up there on that A entrance. And I wonder how much util they're going to still put forth to this effort. Maybe UNI rotates around at this point.
UNI knows there's a lot here. I think that if they wanted to commit it, they could have used that fatal to retake it.
And they're going to have to be quick about it and have to deal with Bruno on defense. Bruno is going to have to communicate.
UNI knows he has that judge, so they're going to be wary of this. Getting a lot of util dumped on him. Mr. Circlops unable to find him.
And a full rotate coming out for BU. UNI still looking to plant. Pop-Tart gets taken out by Bruno as well. Beefman to take him out with Guardian. It's still a 3v3 on site C. Favelet though. Remy to pick up the pieces. However, it's going to come down to a 1v1 with Raging Remy. White as well. And White just barely missed Raging Remy. He's going to work the angle.
Playing a little bit of Remy
able to find one. Has to switch to the Sheriff. Misses first shot. Swaps out again. Has 10 in his clip. Does he have enough angle? He needs to get it down, and he can't. White able to take him out as well. Sorry, I got a little bit too intense there, Monty.
No, we are good.
So what'd you notice on that last round there, and how Bradley was able to come out from that?
I think UNI fought that really well. Just that judge was able to shut down UNI's initial push. And then after that, it's just kind of a 3v3 on site, which is kind of just like a 50-50 there for UNI and BU.
So I wonder at this point if UNI is still going to commit that A push, as it looks like we're kind of flashing that. Again, 3 members holding A
All
for
missiles
BU.
away. Drone going out.
Lots of information coming out from that drone, but it looks like the ultimate for Tejo on the side of BU going to be utilized here.
We see that player on C going down while UNI is still trying to scale up A.
And maybe this is the split play that's going to be valuable for UNI. Divide and conquer, as it looks like that's going to fake out BU, but unfortunate
All missiles
that
away.
UNI kind of gets traded there in the B side trade.
Stealing sight. Blind and
Nice job by Beefman, able to
stand your ground.
take out Mac on top of the boxes, and he's good for another one. He's 3 on the round. And White's going to be good for 2 as well, and it's going to be a 2v1 situation. UNI knows that White is going to be in the waterfall.
He now has no choice but to save here.
And a really nice job as UNI is going to go ahead and push the round advantage to 4. UNI closing on a potential Game 2 victory. Monty, how does UNI do that here?
UNI looking really strong. They've got BU onto an eco round here. If they, it should be a pretty easy round for them with rifles against more or less pistols and a wide variety of things. So if they're able to find this, they will be able to close out the game. But they'll be able to get it to a 12-7 game.
I'll find you. Bring them
Fablet
down.
going to go ahead and work through tree side of A.
Them down.
And it looks like BU's going to go ahead and stack up on that A. Sir Clap's location will be revealed. And a lot of util being thrown out on site, but Remy able to take out Mace.
And UNI running with their tails between their legs here. We're going to see Papa all the way up flank.
However, UNI able to take out 2 more members of BU. And Pop-Tart with the trigger discipline. Taking out 2 though, with the flank. Pop-Tart finally we're able to see his signature flank. Now, what does UNI have to do to close out this round and tie the series?
UNI has one big ult here, kind of not a lot to work with in particular versus say Breach and Yorwalt. It's going to be kind of a toss-up here. They're going to just need to try to save up these ults, save up that pressure for one round, and I think try to close it out.
UNI looking to rotate over to C site. Just going to leave Pop-Tart there holding down the flank. As Mr. Sirclaps will go ahead and be taken out by Max. So UNI going to have to play back now as it looks like a successful rotate for BU.
Seeing a funny little game here from Pop-Tart. White and Pop-Tart winning that fight here.
So off screen, Fablet able to take out Jace Mace as well. So UNI, if they can go ahead and get the plant down on C, maybe forcing a 4-3. However, Beefman's gonna go ahead, use the Omen ult, get over to A, but BU knows about.
He's going to be alone on site here, and he's actually going to get taken out. And we'll see a player getting the bomb right away there.
Mac might stick the bomb, however, he gets chased out and taken out by Pop-Tart.
Pop-Tart has ult. Doesn't even need it. Picking up 4 to close out the game.
Attackers win.
Yeah, really excellent job by UNI forcing the 13-7 Lotus map. So really good job by UNI, kind of getting comfortable there. And like you kind of mentioned, Monty, earlier on, miscues didn't hit the timing that they needed to. However, Mr. Circlaps, Favelet, the superstar so far for UNI here in Game 2.
And we see finally Mr. Claps kind of popping back up on the top of that leaderboard as we talked about earlier, getting a lot of kills for UNI.
All right, so while we go ahead and have a moment, do exclamation point merch if you would like to support UNI Panther Esports, where we have t-shirts, hoodies, and fully customizable jerseys, all for your wonderful perusal and purchase. So if you want to support Panther Esports, go ahead and buy some merch, or go ahead and put a Go Cats in chat, as UNI is looking to close out the series with a win. So Monty, what did we learn from Lotus that maybe we can get a successful Game 3?
Seeing from Lotus, UNI finally picking up that teamwork that we didn't really see as much in the first game. We're gonna need to see that coming back onto Ascent, since this is such an execute heavy map, having a lot of hard spots to take, and definitely a lot of lurk potential here coming through that mid area for Pop-Tart.
And I also wonder too if part of it has to do with nullifying Jack and Jace Mace and not having them be the shining stars that typically we saw in Game 1. Maybe that could be a contributing factor. I believe why UNI lost that first game is that they didn't know how to deal with the ISO, and I feel like that was kind of messing them up a little bit. But I guess that's just my assumption.
Yeah, definitely cute. I'm intrigued to see what we'll be seeing on Ascent, since it just recently came back into the map pool. And historically, this is a very linear map. You're going to see the same team comp ran on it since 2022, pretty much. Almost always guaranteed to see the same things.
So what's so interesting about Ascent? Because like you said, it was re-added to the map pool, but what's kind of the flavor of Ascent?
Ascent has just a lot of long, narrow paths with tight entrances onto the sites, and if you want to have more than that one tight entrance into site, you have to take that mid space. And other than those tight entrances, a lot of the sites are pretty close cornered. Mid is kind of different though. It's more of an open area. A lot of teams are going to try to fight for that space, try to split onto sites.
So then, thinking of team composition, what would you kind of expect from either UNI and or Bradley?
We'll likely be seeing if I had to guess, a Sova, Jet, and Omen for sure. The Sentinel could definitely change, because a lot of people I've been hearing think that Vise could be the new meta for this map. Vise seems to be pretty strong from what I've seen in just my comp games so far. But other than that, we've got see if Pop-Tarts actually played any Vise on this map. I am not seeing any, but like I said, this could definitely be a Vise type of angle here. And for the last, it's kind of just a toss-up. See what teams want to play. See if they want to run a more aggressive comp with a double duelist. A double initiator comp is usually pretty common. We'll see a KO come out for that knife to shut down the Sentinel on B site a lot.
Yeah, and I wonder too if maybe we'll see a Mr. Circlaps Jet as we typically seen in the later rounds. But again, I'm also not surprised to see a Raze if that comes up as well. Just considering how well he plays Raze with his aggressive play style. So I wouldn't be surprised there. I would almost expect to see a Beefman Oben because that's kind of like his role of choice, his character of choice, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing something else. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, most definitely. We're probably gonna see some pretty standard things coming out. It would be pretty interesting to see if we do see some different things coming out, but very unlikely.
All right, I got another trivia question for you, if you are ready for it.
I think I am.
All right. So, who during the regular season got the most deaths in a single week?
In a single week, I'm gonna go Claps. He definitely just kind of gets onto that site, gets a kill, takes his space, and dies a lot.
You would be correct. In week 3, Mr. Circlaps got 55 deaths. Now, the next closest was Pop-Tart the same week with 53. So definitely our two most aggressive players, showing that they're aggressive in week 3. So as we go ahead and get locked into Ascent, we already see Sova and Jet locks for UNI, but it looks like we're going to go ahead and get a KO Sova and Jet. So kind of interesting setup here. I do like the Tejo pick though for Raging Remy.
Yep, this is turned into another map where a lot of things are getting replaced by a Tejo. We're seeing Tejo be a lot more prominent since its release, and it is changing a lot of metas.
And what about Tejo's kit that makes it so meta changing?
It's just he doesn't really have anything that all of those other initiators are gonna have. He's not like a scan agent or like a flash, because normally those are kind of the two initiators in the game. But his signature abilities instead are mollies that are just really annoying to play around. Having it just covers so much space that it's kind of hard to play in a lot of areas.
All right, so UNI gonna go ahead and tie the series in game 2, 1-1. It all comes down to this. Game 3, in a single elimination postseason bracket, UNI needs to win this to keep their postseason alive. Monty, can they do it?
I believe they can. It's going to be pretty interesting. I feel like every time we have seen any plays towards this map, it has all been very close games.
Already out the gate, UNI gonna go ahead and press towards a tree. Mr. Circlaps on the Jet. Go ahead and have to play patiently.
Starting to see UNI still kind of trying to play towards that A side of the map here.
Yeah, but they haven't committed a lot of resources quite yet, as it's gonna be a White and Mac kind of sitting there, but Beefman's gonna be taken out the first one of this game. But Mr. Circlaps
gets killed through a smoke, I believe. Full running there, actually. Unlucky. But now UNI is going to try to scale towards that mid side.
gonna have to run into Bruno. Favelet able to finally take it out, and unfortunate set of circumstances UNI finds themselves in, as Favelet will go ahead and get the plant. Unfortunately, we didn't see the deadlock pick. I didn't even think about deadlock being an option here.
Confirmed kill.
As Raging Remy gets the headshot on Jace Mace. He's going to look for 2. Gets a bit of the sound cues.
One enemy
Remy
remaining.
picking up 2. Find some damage, and Fable able to close out that round for UNI.
So a really nice pistol rounds coming out from UNI. And again, just kind of setting the pace. Interesting to see that they're going to be on attack here, which arguably might be a more... would you consider this map a more attacker-heavy map or a defender-heavy map?
So okay, my problem with Ascent is kind of like how the split is like depending on how each team plays the game will change what kind of sided of a map it is. Because a lot more of the times you'll see like this map and split are a lot more defense sided, but it could definitely change.
And Mac already being aggressive, able to take out Pop-Tart. And UNI gonna have to be weary now of that mid-link side, but they're gonna go ahead and press in towards B.
Shadows traveling.
UNI being a little aggressive, conservative here, as maybe BU knows that B is gonna be the push selection.
Going out.
Trying to focus out, but Mr. Circlaps, he's going to be aggressive. Takes out Jack. But Jace Mace able to take out Beefman with the shock dart.
Mr. Circlaps fighting
Mr.
for his life on
Circlaps.
site here.
One enemy remaining.
And a well-executed attack round for UNI. Didn't even have to get the bomb planted. So, really good timing for UNI. I think the biggest thing here, Monty, is that UNI is going to have to stem the tide here, as if history proves to show, BU will start answering whatever UNI is throwing out there. So maybe not as an aggressive 6-0 run like we saw in Game 1, maybe not even a 3-0 run like we saw in Game 2. UNI is going to have to hold in tight for round 3.
Seen UNI playing pretty conservative here, trying to wait for BU to get aggressive as we've seen them do the first 2 rounds.
Okay, UNI is going to favor that A side, and it's going to have to coordinate that B cubby A main push, as Fable gets a lot of information there with the drone.
We'll see. Jace Mace might try to take this fight towards that mid side. UNI pretty heavily split here, kind of all over the place.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be beneficial, as Pop-Tart's going to go ahead and have to deal with the Headhunter, as Fable is going to go ahead and get his location revealed at that mid-market site.
UNI actually in a really good spot here with the site holder, 1 HP.
Mr. Circlaps able to go ahead and take out Bro Brono, and with 4 seconds left, able to get the plant down. Mr. Circlaps able to take out Mac. He's got 11 HP. He's going to have to dash for the defense now.
No, a 3v3 retake for BU here, looking to find a kill onto Remy, getting aggressive.
Mr. Circlaps still with low HP is going to be aggressive and try and peek around the side. Get some information here. Pop-Tart able to take out Jack. Jace Mace goes down. Mr. Circlaps finally goes out, and it's a 1v1. Pop-Tart versus White.
And I
White
believe
will come
White
out.
has the time for the defuse here. He does.
Unfortunate for UNI there, but right kind of idea. Unfortunately, the transactions towards the end there, not what you wanted. Of course, UNI was kind of stacked out towards the end, but I feel like you've mentioned, Monty, a really good B initiation. However, just didn't quite get the execution down. But what do you think happened there?
I think Remy was playing a little too aggressive there. If he was trying to play just a little bit more conservative there, and that type of scenario, I think they would have caught BU off guard when they went 3 people onto lane. Because we saw Pop-Tart almost clutching it around that with only 1 second to spare.
Mr. Circlops with the Judge able to take out Mac, and he's going to be aggressive on the A site. He's got knives. He's going to get stunned, but Remy is going to go ahead and get the bomb planted. So a very aggressive play for UNI.
And he finds another one through that smoke with the Judge.
And Remy's going to go ahead and pick up Bro Bruno there from the Heaven side.
Last player standing.
Mr. Circlops again with the knives. Able to take one and through the archway. Mr. Circlops good for 4.
Mr. Collapse finding a lot of impact here on this Jet. Already picking himself up 11 kills this game.
I feel like the biggest thing here, Monty, is that Mr. Circlops, if he's going to have a good game, might as well have it now when it matters the most. Oh, and he's going to ditch the Judge and swap to a Vandal.
He's going to have a 1v1 against Mac here. Mac trying to get out.
We'll get his location revealed, and it's just going to be Mac defending that B site. White having to kind of teleport around, working that off angle.
Beautiful play there from UNI, but Mr. Claps not able to find that kill.
And Jace Maze down to 1 HP might be a factor, but I feel like UNI might be rotating around at this point, as it looks like Beefman and Pop-Tart are holding the angles for the rotate. A nice bait out by Jack.
Nowhere to run.
I'm not sure if we had a fat finger there with that
left.
ult or what happened. But Pop-Tart's gonna get found tagged out there.
Cover going out.
Yeah, definitely not what you want to commit, especially in the middle of B. And UNI still needing the plant. It's going to be a 3v5.
Fadlet not getting hit by the Sobal. Dodging it like Neo over here.
Able to take out one from Heaven. Gets taken out by Jack. It's going to come down to Beefman from Heaven. He finds one. That's a headshot.
Almost
unfortunately,
finding that round actually. It could have been very close there.
It could have made the difference, especially if he would have gotten a nice whip shot on Mac. Maybe you have a little bit more time to deal with the third player on A site. However, I feel like that's just going to be one of those situations. And 3-0 is the current run for BU. So UNI currently down 3-2. Final game of the series. And White gonna go ahead and flash around that B area. Knows that potentially A is the push, as UNI is stacking up on that A side. Ooh, Bro Bruno with the Ares. An interesting choice. Oh, Pop-Tart able to take out Jack. Fabla able to find Mac as well. And even with the Ares, Bro Bruno able to take out Beefman. Fabla able to get the plant. And a nice play there for White as he took Pop-Tart. in the back.
And now we've just got Jace Mace trying to lurk around here. Finds Fablet on. Does not find Fablet onto Jen.
You almost called it wrong.
I thought for sure he had him. He went for the run gun instead.
I completely agree. As Mr. Surclap's able to take out White and through a series of miracles, able to go ahead and get this done. So I'm sorry, UNI is currently at the advantage 4-2, as normally we saw them on defense. So down 2 for BU. Monty, what do you think Mac is discussing with the rest of his Braves team?
I think they're trying to figure out how UNI is getting through these positions that they are, how they're losing some of these rounds, and like we've seen a lot of slow plays coming from UNI. They did speed it up that last round and got a very fast A take, but I think they're still trying to figure out UNI's play style on this map, and they're already halfway through this side of the map, and they're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I feel like one thing they, again, need to kind of depend on is that 1v1 potential that you have with Mac on the Jet. And unfortunately, that you're down so early, I don't know if you have a window of opportunity to maybe get a Marshall play going. I feel like maybe at this point, UNI has enough armor to not be able to use the Marshall, maybe an Outlaw. It was just interesting to see that Ares pick come out. I guess I'll say that much.
Definitely, it actually almost picked up that round for them. If he was able to kill Mr. Circlops close there, he probably would have gotten out of that unscathed and had a chance to take another fight in sight.
Pop-Tart gonna go ahead and sneak through the courtyard, get some information here. As it looks like UNI hasn't even picked up the bomb yet, so I feel like this is definitely an information gathering phase. Mr. Clap's gonna be
Pop-Tart already up, trying to see if he can maybe try to bait out that Vise wall.
Pop-Tart avoids the shock dart. And I think he's just going to hold this angle.
Go ahead.
One thing I'm not sure about is Mac is in a beautiful spot right now.
30 seconds left.
Steve Man able to find him though.
Blinded.
Tagged out, Raging Remy able to take out Jace Mace, and UNI pushing past the threshold onto A. Mr. Surclaps able to take out Jack. Favlet taking out Bruno. With less than 15 seconds to go, you don't need to plant the bomb. Mr. Surclaps getting the headshot on White. So UNI able to kind of deal with the game planning that BU kind of had there. And I feel like their game plan on defense is... I want to say it's kind of like float the A, but they're not getting a lot of information, and they're playing very reactive still, even out of that timeout. So I don't know what the answer is here, Monty.
That's another hard thing about this map on the defense side is if you don't try to fight something, as they're trying to do right now, rotating seems really hard because you have to go all the way through that spawn every time because you're going to be so weary of somebody being in that area still.
Pop-Tart will go ahead and get the ult charge as the Killjoy ult if they want to utilize that. However, I don't think that's necessary, as I feel like UNI might be wrapping around back to A. Where it definitely... definitely seems that way. However, they're going to rotate back around. Over to B.
And it looks like we will be seeing
Oh,
that KJL
lots of
going
information
down
with
right
that dart there. Able to locate 3 members of UNI.
here. And And look at Beefman all the way up mid here. And it looks like UNI is going to be going for a fake KJL, maybe? I'm not sure if they have the time for that.
It's the calm before the storm, Monty.
30 seconds left. Can't use that.
And the
Man,
Killjoy will
taken
go
down
ahead
mid.
and go out. White able to take out Beefman. Pop-Tart able to take out Jace Mace. UNI is going to go ahead and get the play. Fablet going to go ahead and hold the corner. Jack pops and able to take out Remy.
Are unable to find the
Last
kill.
player
UNI
standing.
also committing the Sova ult. However, he gets taken out. Jack taking out Pop-Tart as well. And BU finally getting a successful retake on point B. So UNI going ahead and still with the advantage, 5-3. Gonna see if they can go ahead and initiate on the B side.
Just Jace Mace on that B site. It's going to be really hard for him to hold those. Actually gets taken out
Mr.
early.
Surclaps out the gate, being aggressive, able to take out Jace Mace. However, Jack is good for 2 before he's traded out. And White able to take out Pop-Tart as well. UNI gonna have to have a 2v3
Spike planted.
defense on B.
We see Mr. Surclaps
And
getting
Mr.
aggressive.
Surclaps, who's good for 3 on the round, able to take out Mac through the market. Gonna face off against White
Last
here.
player standing.
And a beautiful
As
defense
a
there.
well-executed time there, as UNI will get both of their members taken out immediately. And UNI only now with a 1-round advantage.
Yeah, UNI looking still pretty strong in this game here. But Mr. Surclaps pulling out a lot of the work, pulling the team on his back. It looks like 18-5.
And I think that's going to be the biggest player here for this BU Braves team, is if they can go ahead and, you know, continue to work around that Mac Jet. I feel like that's going to be so successful. And they've already shown that they're able to do that.
It would be huge for Remy to find, if he was able to find that drone on the Bruno there.
UNI again stacking up on that A side.
Nice. We see the mollies coming out once again, and likely a Psyche coming through now that the Vise is gone.
White through the smoke, gonna try and get the shot off from Mr. Surclaps. Has to bounce around, and Fablet's good for 2, taking out 2 members in heaven. Jace Mace trades him out, but UNI able to get the response on the top side of A, and they will go ahead and extend their lead by 2 rounds. Now, Monty, what does UNI have to do? We're on round 11. You got to get at least 1 more before we force, or 1 or 2 more before we force the half. How does UNI execute?
UNI is currently being up to, in my opinion, they are doing phenomenal right now. If they were even to find 1 more round this half, I believe that their defense should be strong enough to just be able to close out this game.
Pop-Tart gets traded out. And that's a lot of information gained there, as it looks like the Vise wall is going to be interrupted for UNI's ability. However, BU gonna go ahead, commit the Sova ult on A site. And Mr. Surclaps able to take out Bro Brono before he has to go down into hell
One enemy
and
remaining.
wait there. However, Beefman, Favelet, able to go ahead and take out 2 members. However, Jack's gonna go ahead and take out Beefman. Jack gonna be working around that A tree side. Finds one. It's gonna get tagged a little bit, and it's gonna be a 2v1 situation for Jack. He's gonna focus on Favelet. Can't. And Favelet able to go ahead and seal the deal for UNI, extending
Last
their
round
lead
in the half.
7-4. Last round before the half, Monty. What are we thinking?
We're thinking. I'm really thinking that if UNI is going into this final round here with 4 ults, they have a really good chance at picking up a 8-4 half. And BU with, for the most part, just that KO ult could shut everything down. And it looks like they do have that lead here.
Able to take out the drone. Mac gonna have to rotate around back through spawn. And UNI stacking up again on that A side.
Here.
And I wonder if this slow play that UNI is having, I wonder if they're talking about positions. We do see a little bit of pings coming up.
Go ahead. Stand this round.
And it looks like UNI is going to go ahead and commit 2 ultimates. The KO ultimate comes out as well. Jack going to have to deal with that. Favelet, he picks up 2. Bro Brono, though, able to take out Mr. Surclaps. UNI still has the Sova ult in their back pocket if they want to commit it here. Bomb plant goes down. Pop-Tart taking out Jack. Pop-Tart unable to take out Jace Mace. However, Remy to pick up the pieces. It's going to come down to White on a 1v2 retake.
He knows where both players are here. Shadows traveling. 2 TPs in hand.
Scatter.
Looking to try to walk up and find an early kill here first. He knows where Raging Remy is. Unable to find the kill, and Raging Remy closing out the half 8-4.
Yeah, really good job by UNI again, stemming the tide there.
Switching sides.
And kind of like clockwork, get the 2-0 pistol round. BU coming. We're seeing, though, the timeout by Mac. Having to discuss a couple things, of course. We got close to almost being tied. However, since that timeout, UNI able to walk away with a 3-0 run, I believe. So UNI doing a nice job here and looking to maybe continue. And again, I don't want to cast or curse this, Monty, but UNI strong on the pistol rounds. And I wonder if a factor of that too is maybe negating Max Jet. I think early has been a factor. And now here comes BU. They're being aggressive. Mac getting taken out early. Pop-Tart able to find 2. Can't find the 3rd as Jace Mace able to take him out. And right now, it's going to be a 2v2 situation.
Now it's all up
on
to
B side.
Remy and the Beef Man.
Last player
Remy
standing.
finds 1. Now just Jace Mace only 1v2.
And he planted it in that back corner. But Beefman through the smoke, able to take out Jace Mace. And another wonderful pistol round coming out for UNI.
Shadows traveling.
What do you think UNI did there that they did really well?
I think UNI just had such a strong hold initially that they were able to get a lot of that early kills, early pressure, and we saw Pop-Tart I think picking up 2 on that on site there, and then Just such a strong retake there. Not even too much of a retake, but just UNI winning their gunfights there.
Shadows traveling.
Oh, 2 off the bat on the Outlaw for Favelet.
And Jace Mace trying to pressure himself all the way in, and BU getting 2 on under their belt as well.
Mace able to go ahead and pick up the Bulldog. He'll go back into the corner and get the plant, forcing a 3v3 retake for UNI. Jace Mace knows that there is going to be one sitting in defender spot. Remy, though, able to take out 2. And Brono gonna swap to his ghost. Or excuse me, Beefman swaps to his ghost and able to take out Brono.
Now UNI, like we said, looking really strong. 4-9 coming out on the second half, winning that pistol round and winning that bonus as well.
Yeah, and I didn't want to cast a curse at Monty, but I was like thinking to myself, UNI could go on another 2-0 pistol round, so we could be looking at a 10-4 situation. I'm glad I didn't say it until now.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this will be UNI's first time getting past the quarterfinals.
Correct, yeah, I believe so.
Because even when I played, I believe we lost in the quarter. I think we lost either in the quarters or the semifinals. I don't think we made it to the semifinals, but I am not entirely sure.
All right, but they still got to stick it through at least 3 more rounds, Monty. So don't curse us quite yet. Remy's gonna go ahead. He's gonna defend, as he's gonna be taken out by White. Mr. Surclaps though taking out Jack on the far side. It's going to be a Braves A side push. They're gonna go ahead and work through that A garden link, and Favelet able to get the 2
with 2 bullets.
Favelet able to pick up 3 that round. And Pop-Tart to seal the deal. Holy cow, Monty. I haven't seen that before. And it's gonna force a timeout for Mac.
Favelet has been showing that he is one of the big parts of this team these last couple rounds, picking up 5 kills with that Outlaw in just 2 rounds.
Yeah, definitely a big sniper player. I've seen on multiple occasions Favelet using the op. Of course, typically that's a jet type weapon, and we've seen Mr. Surclaps earlier in the year use that op. However, Favelet getting a lot more value from the sniper play, and like you've mentioned, Monty, 5 kills in the last 2 rounds with that Outlaw.
One thing I did like to see is, not that we did it very often, we would sometimes throw when we used to play Breeze. We'd throw Favelet onto Jet, and I'd play Yoru, and he would op, and he would do phenomenally. He's just so good with the opping. It's just that Mr. Surclaps, I'm not saying that Favelet's Jet isn't good, but we just see Mr. Surclaps is just so good with that aggression on that offense side with Jet.
And he's still gonna rock the Outlaw, as it looks like BU flashing a B site push. And Favelet off the get-go with the Headhunter, getting the pick on Mac. Now he's gonna go ahead and throw his ultimate out there. White with the Bulldog, picking up Beefman. Remy, though, able to pick out White before he's traded out. And it's going to be a rotate to A site.
Watching Mr. Clubs finds one now with
Spike
3v2
down
for UNI.
Jack knows about the heaven play. Bro Brono, though, able to take him out. It's going to be a 2v2 Favelet with the Sheriff and the Outlaw.
Spike planted. One enemy remaining.
Favelet picks up the Vandal.
I can't believe UNI knows that he
enemy
should be here.
Jack able to take him out, but Pop-Tart able to get the shot off on Jack. And with plenty of time to get to defuse, UNI on a quarterfinal game 3 match point.
Match point.
Now, what does UNI have to do to seal the deal here, Monty, and move on to the semis?
UNI has been holding down these sites phenomenally. They've been playing so well in these retakes. I would love to see Remy try to get a little aggressive with this AOL. Try to get some early kills with it even, maybe.
It looks like UNI is going to go ahead and set up a lot of util towards that B site, but it's going to be BU Braves working that mid point, and they're going to go ahead and wrap around back through spawn. So obviously they didn't hear or see something that they didn't like. UNI holding
Right now
down.
would be a phenomenal time for Remy to pop that ultimate, but he's in such a tight spot here. He's got to hold this area up fast.
Mr. Sir Claps able to take out
down
one
A.
before he's traded out by Bro Brono. Beefman holding heaven. Sees 3. Gets taken out by Jack. Bro Brono will
Spike
go ahead and get the
planted.
plant.
And as I mentioned, we are seeing Favelet pulling out this op here. He's probably going to try to save this unless Pop-Tart's able to find a couple kills.
He's going to take the 1v4. Jack able to take him out. And that's another thing that UNI is going to need to deal with is Jack, but Favelet with the op. Definitely save the op.
Now, both teams with some pretty strong ultimate abilities here. We could definitely see a sight hit on either side of the map here. That Visol is very strong for B in particular, I would agree, or argue, but...
All right, so BU able to stem the tide, keep their playoffs alive. Favelet with the op, able to take out Mac. Lots of value there in the late rounds, but Jack able to take out Raging Remy. One more for Favelet. However, it looks like it's going to be a KO res potential.
Very likely here. And then Favelet can be stuck in a pretty rough spot here in a 1v3 on site, kind of.
There they are.
Surflap's able to take out Bro Brono. However, he's going to be poked around as well. Has to work the pen shots. Pop-Tart able to take out White. Beefman gets taken out as well. And Jack with 3. He will not go silent. He gets 4. It's going to be a 1v2.
One thing to note
And it
here
all
is that
comes down.
BU knows that he has an op on site. They know he has to be here, so they can just run.
And they will. And Favelet, you know, not wanting to risk the op is going to have to play conservatively here and wait till the plant goes down.
30
Would probably
seconds
What
be
an
left.
another
interesting
good
set
idea
of
to
events.
play for that save on the op one more time here.
Spike planted.
And considering that you have about 7 rounds to give at this point, I mean, though I know it's pretty big,
And it looks like he is
I would
actually going
tend
to
to
try
agree.
to go for this here.
Maybe Favorit comes out in clutch. He's going to have a scan dark. His presence going to be detected. It's going to come down to dropping down into hell.
And Jack actually finding an ace.
Did he?
I didn't even realize he was on an ace.
Yeah, he was able to take out 4, and an excellent job by Jack, who's really good job offensively for this BU team. Now, you not only loses the op, but they're down another round of potential comeback, and the deficit is shortening to 6. Here comes the A site for the Braves.
Take flight.
May's gonna work the low side with the drum.
Scanning ahead.
And Beef man to get out of his smoke, but Mr. Sirclap's able to take out Jack.
Spike planted.
But still a really good initiation there by BU. Pop-Tart with the Bunty gonna have to work around. Jason Ace and Mac able to find 2 members of UNI. Pop dancing around on the A corridor.
Pop-Tart pressure, US heavy flank, unable to find the kill.
Revealing area.
Favorit finds himself in a 1v3. Gets taken out by Mac as the bomb most likely to go off, and BU coming back in this one. Monty, the 3-0 run right now.
UNI kind of looking like they're starting to fall apart a little bit. Not that they're just not able to win any rounds. They're kind of getting caught off very early here. And BU is just playing around well. They know how UNI plays. They are used to this. And they're actually shutting UNI down pretty heavily.
Favorit, though, with the op, gonna hold the far distance angle. Maybe White catches him there. He doesn't. And Favorit, who was aggressive with the op, not able to find any kills. And it looks like BU is going to go ahead and do the rotate around from B site over to A. All that's standing in their way is going to be Mr. Sirclaps and Beefman. Beefman gets a couple audio cues.
Spike
Beefman
down.
finds one. If he's able to find out this over here, this round can be free for UNI. UNI has a man advantage.
Chase,
Spike planted.
Chase will go ahead and get the plant down. Comes out. Jack able to get the on Remy. Pop-Tart able to take out Mac. Beefman having to work against Jack. It's a 1v3. Jack down to 1 HP. And he gets the shot off.
Defenders
And
win.
UNI
I will win
closing
the
out that
round.
series 2-1.
Excellent job, UNI able to come back into this one. And I think, like you mentioned, Monty, for the first time, at least in the NECC era, UNI heading to the semis. Now, what's one thing that you noticed from map 3 that was so much different than us in game 1?
One thing I'm seeing here pretty heavily is if we look at Mr. Claps alone, double the kills that he had from the first game. Absolutely phenomenal. Was kind of getting shut down a lot more towards that second half of the game here. As we probably see, he had, I think it was he 18 or almost 20 at the half? And then I think he ended the
Pretty
game
close.
with 26. So he was dominating that first half, gave UNI a big confidence boost.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, too, is that game there was kind of a little bit of tenseness. They weren't really playing at the pace that they wanted to play, and like you kind of mentioned earlier, like the timing was off. And I feel like that 6-0 run kind of shook them to the core from BU. And I feel like, though, that Lotus round where we went 6-6 at the half, I feel like UNI just dug a little bit deeper and was able to execute very well on their attack round. So, Monty, if you had to pick a player of the series, who would it be and why?
I'm definitely going to say Mr. Sir Claps came in just absolutely phenomenal those last 2 games. Wasn't doing too bad that first game. Just all of UNI was kind of getting shut down a little bit. But just Mr. Sir Claps always coming in clutch, able to just MVP these games so many times.
Yeah, if I can copy your homework, Monty, I feel like Mr. Sir Claps, when he is doing a really offensively, or at least on that duelist role, UNI is able to work around a lot more of that play style. And of course, we saw that earlier on with Jack.
Yeah, Jack absolutely.
Because of that.
Jack was absolutely. Oh, where am I going? Was absolutely running through UNI game 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And 12 and playing that. I wonder if that's going to be another thing that to discuss is maybe the ice threw them off that they just weren't able to execute.
Yeah, I don't know. Jack definitely kind of had exactly what Mr. Claps did. He had 2 really good games and 1 not as great game. But he really showed up in that Haven game. He showed that he knows how to play that ISO, and he played it well.
Yeah, and I don't want to play what if moments, Monty, but what if Jack played the ISO even into Lotus? I know that's not really necessarily the, but I wonder if that would have thrown off UNI even more.
It definitely could have. And with the team comp they were running, it probably could have worked. I just think that they could have needed to swap a couple things up.
So are we wanting to do an interview? Do we want to close it out here? What are your thoughts, Monty?
Completely up to you. I'm gonna let you handle towards the interview today.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna go grab a couple bites of food while you do an interview here. If that is the case.
Yes. I will go ahead and find someone to interview. And I feel like one of the biggest things is that you and I kind of faced a lot of adversity here, especially like I mentioned earlier on that 6-0 run, mainly having to do with playing against that ISO, and it was really difficult. But as we have here with us, it is going to be Mr. Sir Claps. Congratulations on the.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, let's get them all interviewed. Why don't we? I am in by Raging Remy and Mr. Sir Claps. Talk about that series for you and the postseason play against Bradley.
You know, I think. Do you just want me to go map by map or just whole season in general?
Let's go map by map first.
Map by
talk
map?
talk
Okay.
about this. Let's talk
Talk
about
about,
the score.
Okay. So, map 1 wasn't too bad. It's just and especially in like pro play and stuff, that we have been seeing people switching the meta to playing an ISO on the team. And we were kind of scouting them, and we're like, okay, they're gonna do the same thing. They do the ISO Yoru, but I think most people just have the ISO with Yoru as well, or they have a different duelist. But we were kind of expecting this. We didn't ever play against it. This is their map pick. This is what they always play. So we were just kind of going into there, just trying to see what they did. But I felt like we were definitely very lethargic. I felt like it was definitely very slow in the beginning, and then like I think when we were like we got a couple rounds, and then on the second half when we had attack, it was just very slow. I guess like we were saying stuff, but we weren't actually doing it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think the conversation was around, especially in that map 1, where you guys went 2-0, again, really great pistol. BU went ahead and went on a 6-0 run. What was kind of the mentals? What was the communication to try and bounce out of that?
You want me to answer? Or
I mean, yeah,
you
you. I
gotta-
mean,
I.
you
oh, you want?
You got me. You got it.
It doesn't matter. Whoever wants to answer.
Really, no one else wanted to do an interview but me, so I guess I'll just I'll do it. I'll talk. Basically,
you want me to answer?
Or you want beef to?
All right. We'll start with Remy. Then we'll see.
Okay, so honestly, we just kind of just kept we were just really just switching where Pop Dart was going. Pop Dart was just saying like, hey, if this is not working right here, I'll just move to this one because they're hitting this one. And like sometimes they do hit it, but they just kept destroying his util. But like, all in all, it was fine, I guess. We were just trying to like figure out where they were going because it was always, I'm pretty sure they were just having one on A, one mid, and then like the rest would be on a different site basically. So it's like they were stacking a certain portion, but always having one. So it was definitely confusing us in a way of like where we're going. So we had to play it really slow. But a problem was when we played really slow, they just all of a sudden like just flooded site, and that's kind of what messed us up a lot, I felt like.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe talk a little bit more about the Haven situation. You guys went 6-6 at the half. Was that kind of like a more of like you were ready for a attack heavy side, or was just defense not really?
Was it 6-6? I think it was
good.
Sorry, I think it was 7-5 after first. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, not trying. I think it was 7-5. I think we were down by 2. I don't know.
Okay.
Beef claps. Do you guys remember?
Well, on game 2.
Oh, game 2. Oh, game 2. I thought you meant game 1.
Yeah, I was
sorry,
talking the same 2. Sorry, I was swapping.
Sorry, you said Haven, so I was like, oh, he's talking about game 1.
Oh, was that
Yeah,
map 1? Or I guess Lotus.
Talk about.
Sorry. I'm a bad interviewer.
It's okay. I know Monty's sick right now too, so he doesn't want to talk.
Yeah, you're good.
Let me see. So looking on map 2, we got 6-6, and we were just like, honestly, we just didn't know how they were gonna play. It was our map pick, so I felt like we had more confidence going into it. And when we got, they did some certain things that kind of, definitely like stumped us. But even then, like after the 6-6, we were like, hey, we still got this. I mean, we're on the better side because I feel like Lotus is definitely more of an attack heavy side. So we were just kind of, I mean, I think we were just ready. We just got the 6-6 and we're like, you know what, just back at 0 basically, just play our game.
Yeah. So, what do you think kind of helped you guys on that map 2 to kind of finish it out? Like, was there any particular moment, any particular
Honestly,
character
just,
that you guys were getting a value out of? Or what?
honestly,
What do you?
Honestly, I think Beef was really cooking it second half. I think he ended off with like the highest assist, and I feel like he definitely contributed a lot with his blinds and also just like putting pressure on the site.
Beef, do you got a response to that?
I think on the second half, winning that third round of the half like really helped us out there. Looking back at the timeline, Claps got a really good opening pick on their Sentinel with a Guardian, and that kind of snowballed into us gaining a lot of space and just really steamrolling the round. Part of that was also because they did not force round 2. That was on Haven. But yeah, this really pivotal round to win was round 15 of the second map, because that just allowed us to snowball our economy. It kind of gave us like multiple more rounds down the line because they were on weaker buys.
Yeah. All right. So, as we kind of wrap up the interview here, I want to hear from Remy first, and then Beef, and then Mr. Sir Claps. Who do you think the player of the series is?
You know, I think
And you can say yourself.
I'm not going to say myself because I played horrible, to be fair. And you know what? Actually, I want to say something before this. Sorry, I don't want to make the interview long. But you guys never stream when I actually could get MVP, and it kind of annoys me. But I'm not gonna say myself just because of that reason. But I will say I think that solidified my answer would be Fablet.
I was there when you got that almost 3K on Ascent, I promise.
Mm-hmm.
I promise.
Even though I feel like the Claps did get a lot of kills, and you know he was doing his job as duelist and getting certain picks, I think I would give it a Fablet because I think second half of Ascent really solidified it for me. This man was getting Colats with an Outlaw, getting 3 basically every time, and I think he was just playing it like really well. So.
All right. How about you, Beef?
Me personally, I gotta give it to my boy Mr. Sir Claps. No disrespect to Fablet, of course, but whatchamacall, I think Claps was really turning it up on Lotus and Ascent. Like I said earlier, that round win, which kind of like swung the game in our favor, was due to his opening pick, and he got a 2K that round. However, Billy's huge
Bleep it out.
Yeah, Billy's huge outlaw round on Ascent also really helped us out there. I think it's also the third round, which converted into a round win, which like just kind of steamrolled the rest of our way through the half. So I think Billy did really good. I think Mr. Sir Claps was the MVP of this series, though.
Mr. Sir Claps. To
I must say, bro, Bruno, he was sitting me down like that whole series. I can't lie. Yeah, I'm giving it to a BU player. He made my life miserable. I'm just give it to him. Nobody on my
all right.
That's crazy.
That's wild, you know.
Not that Pop-Tart guy. He never deserves the MVP.
Nah. Jake had some good plays that round.
He
Jake
did.
did have some good plays, but you know, me and B just supporting as usual.
Yeah, I had 15 assists.
All right. Auntie, since you're here, would you like to salvage this interview?
Oh god.
Good to wrap up.
Okay. Let's see. We gotta throw a random question in here. What is your favorite color and why? I want a reasonable argument about it. Not just like it's pink because pink.
It's not a reasonable argument.
We'll start with Remy. What is your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is green because even though I can't be as active anymore because I've been through a lot of injuries, but I used to be I'm still really active outside. I go hiking, fishing, I'm just out in nature a lot, so that's why.
He's a grass toucher.
That was a phenomenal answer. Like, are we gonna get a better one from either of them?
Here, ask me.
Yeah, Nate, what is?
I already know his answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I got two close ones. I think my favorite has to be blue though. Mainly because I don't know, royal blue just looks cool. I'm not talking baby blue. I'm talking royal blue, like the Golden State Warriors, because they're my favorite basketball team. So that close second would be pink because pink, but you know. But
as a Celtics fan, I disagree with the Golden State.
An avid blue enjoyer, I would agree.
Yes.
I have a lot of my setup is all my colors are set to blue or green, or like a light green or light blue. So I'm on the
All my
opposite end of
shoes-
blue with you, but I'm
All
still
my
there.
shoes are blue.
All my shoes
all
are
my
black. I
shoes.
don't own a single pair of shoes that isn't black or dark
I-
gray.
They're Pepsi's blue. Like blue's just goated.
Pepsi is
Then-
not blue. I mean, the logo is, but
Well, yeah. The whole color scheme, right?
All right, beef. Let's hear it.
So my favorite color, if you've ever spectated me in the game,
Yep.
all of my skins are purple. Purple is my favorite color by a long shot. It's just such a nice. I don't know why it's such a nice color, but like, it's just so vibrant and it makes me happy.
that is very reasonable.
Valid.
And like, there's so many shades of it, and they all look so nice, except for like that one weird shade that's like more blue than purple, like lilac-y, like a really pale lilac. I got beef with that.
I was hoping you'd give us like I think purple is cancer awareness, isn't it?
I think that's pink.
I think purple's for some
The
cancer and
breast
pink for
cancer
others, is it?
Purple's breast cancer.
Yeah, pink
No,
is goated.
pink is
Just
breast
say it.
cancer.
I know
hold on.
purple's for a different kind of cancer. I don't remember which one it
Bladder
is.
cancer. Wait, what? It is.
It's pink. It's pink.
Pancreatic.
Pancreatic.
I'm just gonna say this. I don't know a single
Pancreatic.
person in my life that has ever had pancreatic cancer. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't exist, but I'm just.
How did a Valorant interview go to like cancer awareness? I just
Because we
Just
asked the
very-
question. We asked the
Let's-
questions that nobody else will.
That's crazy.
You know what?
Anyway,
These interviews are amazing.
anyway, I guess I'm gonna stop this before we get
Fair.
DMC'd or something like that. So, all right, congrats, Erwin. I believe this is the first time you guys won a quarterfinal match and head into the semis.
We won last.
No, we
semester,
won.
right?
We won last.
Did we?
Quarterfinals and last. Yes, we did.
Oh.
Semis.
We definitely won when Monty was here, right?
No, I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure
even
we went
remember.
out round one.
Did we?
no, we've
No,
gotten third every season
Yeah.
that we've
Oh.
played. so
All right, we're
I
going
am
second.
I
this
am
one.
very wrong then.
Number 2 incoming.
I'd laugh if,
All
we,
right,
if we get a
so-
three-peat for number 3.
Second, we ditch Monty.
Alright.
We hit number 2.
Who the real letdown was. Yeah.
Guys, I
Anyway,
All right.
all right, congratulations, guys, and all right, Monty. Any final thoughts before we wrap?
I think we are perfect today. We got everything taken out in that wonderful interview. So
Right. Next week is going to play against St. Cloud University. So UNI gonna face the number 1 seed of Midwest A for their semifinal matchup. SCSU went 6-1 with a 13-12 map differential. Definitely going to be a challenge for UNI next week. So, next week, on my birthday, we are going to have semifinals for Valorant. So, for Monty in production and the booth, thank you for fighting through sickness. My name is Hunter. We'll see you the same time next week for UNI Valorant. And like always, go Cats.